Family left me when they thought I wasn't my dad's son, but now they want to get back in touch. 4 years ago, Dad found out my mum had a lifelong affair. More than one, but that's another story. He knew about a couple of affairs she had in the past and forgave her, hanging in there for the kids, moving on, yada yada. But at that time, 4 years ago, he found out me and my 2 siblings might not be his kids, considering time of affair. This was the first time we all heard of mums, well, everything really. There was a whole DNA thing, and it turned out my siblings were my dad's, and I was not. Cool, right? So Dad leaves Mum, divorces her, moves out, takes both my siblings with him, not me though. I stay behind with Mum, who hits a new low finding herself alone, and we both become pretty much outcasts as far as most of the family is concerned. My older brother was particularly mean to me. We were really tight before, and the crap he did to me, I swear, had I been bigger at the time, I would have punched him hard, more than once. I don't want to get into details because I can't since I could be recognized, but stuff happened and I got DNA again, and as it turns the F out, DNA number 1 was messed up and I am my dad's kid. Now, I don't need legal advice on this. Grandpa is the man, always had my back, we got a lawyer and are looking to settle. But Dad wants back in my life. Brother is calling and wanting to meet up and talk crap. I don't effing want to. I want these people out of my life. Mum already forgave everyone. She's going on a date with my dad, and I feel sick, but not my business, right? I wish them both good luck, but I want none of it. Only, nobody leaves me be. I keep hearing that they have family, and I ought to hear them out and give them a chance or I'll regret it later, and that the only reason I won't talk to them is because I'm a teen and stupid or some other shitty explanation. So, give me some perspective here, please. Do I sound unreasonable when I say, thanks, but F no, thanks? And now in the comments, I don't effing want to. So don't. You are under no obligation to anyone. If you want to be no part or a distant part of their lives, that is your choice. Yep, OP's father is his father, but he already made it clear he has no desire to be a dad. Exactly. I was raised as a baby by my half-sister's vile and abusive paternal family. They made sure to treat me like crap before I could even read, let alone defend myself. Tell me why they asked to be in my life as an adult? Your family is just like mine, showed their true colors. If you decide to not have them in your life, no one could blame you. Your self-care comes first, always. Put them on blast. They abandoned you. Your brother doesn't get a second chance because he only saw you as a brother if blood was involved. Your dad is even worse and extremely childish. Privatize social media, stay strong, and focus on the people that are important to you. Grandpa, friends, etc. And for OP, I want to clarify, put the rest of your family on blast if anyone is upset you are not in contact. Tell people your story. They won't be so eager to get you guys to talk if they know what really happened, since it's likely your dad/brother only told their side. Even if they were only half-brothers, they were still blood. If the siblings were kids when they went down, they might have been influenced by their dad. As for Dad though, it takes a really shitty person to abandon a child you've been a father to for 14 years. OP didn't really tell the whole story, but it sounds like his brother is a real piece of work, and I wouldn't want to engage with someone like that, especially not at 18, and right after this bomb dropped about his paternity. They clearly feel guilty, and this is just to absolve them. Yeah, I don't really understand. If they literally grew up together, they are brothers. Why would you act rudely and hateful towards someone that has no control over something? Maybe the father has something to do with it. And OP says, I would love an answer to this. After 4 years, my best guess is that he blames me for breaking up our family. Dad has no problem with Mum cheating, he said it himself, he forgave her a bunch of times. The idiot kid though, he couldn't forgive. So it was my fault, and my brother frickin' hated me for it. And now I hate him right back, so... It's not your fault. Your father is a seriously screwed up person. It's not your fault. Your priority right now is to make sure that you heal and grow and become whatever kind of person you want to be as an adult. You don't need your father to do that. I'm sorry that you had to go through this. This is more than most could handle. I hope you go to therapy to help you cope with these events. It really does help you feel better and become stronger both mentally and emotionally. And now on to the update. Thank you all for the advice, but I decided to go with my grandpa's, which was kinda the same that most of you gave, and I'll be standing my ground. I've been really annoyed lately because a lot of people around me keep saying I'm a crazy teen and I'll regret it. But Grandpa made a point that I need to stop trying to decide how I'll feel in the future, because truth is, you can never know. You have to make decisions now, based on feelings and info you have now, not based on feelings and info you might have later. Right now, I am disgusted by my dad and brother. I want nothing to do with them. I don't trust them, and I even think that there is a chance they might be doing this, reaching out, just for optics and money. If my feelings change, I will deal with that when they do. Cross the bridge when I get to it and all. I wasn't really going to post an update to this because I don't see the point. My story is kinda over, but something happened yesterday and I wanted to share. So I decided to stand by my F no, I don't want to talk to them. I'll be moving to another city soon and decided to change my number. Grandpa is the only one who will be having the new one, and I asked him not to share, and I know he won't. He's a retired cop, so he's really badass, and has zero patience for bullcrap. My new number is safe. He called my mom and told her that from now on, if anyone wanted to reach me, they'd have to go through him. So Mom showed up at his place. I've been living with him for a while, and tries to talk to me. But Grandpa says she has to talk to him first, so he can decide whether she is allowed to talk to me or not. LOL. So Mom goes insane, and starts telling him that it's none of his business, and that this is between me and my dad. So Grandpa goes something like, if anybody shows up at my lawn to disturb the boy, I'll get the cops, a restraining order, and a shotgun. It goes on for a while until Mom says I'm not the only family that Grandpa has, and that by doing this, Grandpa is pushing everyone away and splitting the family. He has other grandchildren, why is he picking just the one, and so on. So Grandpa frickin' laughs and tells her that through no fault of his, this family blew up long ago, and everyone just grabbed a piece of what was left and ran for it. He looks at me and says I'm his piece, so he is not letting go, and screw it. I was feeling like laughing up to this point because Mum was going crazy and all, but when he frickin' said that, I broke. Mum left after a while, and I just hugged my old man like life depended on it, and he just said something like, enough now. No need for that. I'm your family. Family doesn't leave. You remember that when you have one of your own, and I frickin' will. And edit, oh, before I forget, some people were asking about what my siblings were like. Well, my older brother stole and took crap that was mine, or was supposed to be mine. He lied to me, and about me, and not the innocent kid lie, but, screwed up crap that ruined relationships I had with friends, family, and even a girlfriend I cared about. He was a huge bully for years, and even hit me once. Mum said, he's going through a lot too, and Dad couldn't care less and just protected him. Grandpa told him that if he ever hit me again, he would break Brother's teeth in. I guess he believed him because he never touched me after that one time. Younger brother is cool. I'd rather not talk about him here. And another Reddit, I read the comment section to Grandpa, and I had to explain what OG is, and he now wants to watch Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. But we thank you for all the love. Reading the replies on my first post, he just said, the internet is very smart. Reading the replies on this update, he got a little emotional and left saying he had stuff to do. But he got a beer, came back, and asked if there were more people saying stuff. The comment comparing him to Clint Eastwood made his day. Thanks for the love, guys. And now for those comments. Your grandpa is OG. Spend every second you can with that man. And, even with everything that's happened, you should feel so happy and proud that you have him. Good luck, dude. And OP says, I effing love him. I think we all love him. Ask him about what his life has been like and record it, and then one day, you'll be able to show your own grandkids, if you have them, who taught you to be an awesome grandpa. Ask him all kinds of things, what he thinks is the best thing he ever did, what he thought when X happened, etc., etc. Edit, my grandmother passed away in late August, a few weeks short of her 90th birthday. Sadly, she had dementia, and I always thought there would be time. The stories I heard after she passed makes me sad that I never got to know that side of her. She was a nurse in the 50s in a rural New South Wales town and used to purposely annoy the matron so she'd get sent down to the river to look after the Aboriginal patients. Matron thought that it was a punishment, but Granny loved being out from under her thumb and loved taking care of the patients. Even years later, she still loved Aboriginal art. I'd love to know what her memories of her own grandmother were. Isabella Emma was the postmistress and had a nice splashy divorce, but remained a respected member of society. Helped that hubby had already picked out her successor. There's so many things I wish I knew. If your grandparents and parents are alive, start interviewing and recording their memories now, even about the silliest things. Your grandpa is not only a badass, he is incredibly wise. You're lucky to be his piece. And OP says, I am, yeah. Beautiful update. Someone was cutting onions when I read it. One slightly morbid thing, make sure your grandma has an ironclad will, power of attorney, and whatever you need to make health and well-being decisions when that time comes. People like the family you've spoken about harbor resentment, and it festers. It often comes out when someone is too ill or old to defend themselves. When the time comes, you want to have everything in order and the power to protect your grandpa just like he has protected you. And OP says, hey, thanks. Yeah, I suck at storytelling, so plenty of details were left out. But as I said, most of the family pushed us away a few years back, but not all family. I got an uncle who's a stand-up dude. Grandpa's oldest, he's in charge in case anything goes wrong, and I'm actually moving to the city that he lives in. He got me a solid job working with him for a while. But if anybody wanted to keep me from seeing the old man, I'd burn down a hospital, I swear to God. And if you thought that was enough, we have a quick little third update. It is an act of God that I still remember the password to this throwaway, but goddamn guys, people, you are not gonna frickin' believe this. I don't believe this. The lab didn't make a mistake on my results. What they did is they mixed the results of all children. I am my dad's bio son, but my older brother is not. Which is really weird because he looks like dad. Maybe mum has a type. Turns out it was his lab result stuff or whatever with my name on it. He will be triple checking it now with another lab, but I mean, goddamn. The settlement has a confidential disclosure clause, something on details, so I will not be speaking about this ever in all ever again, cause it's damn good money, so shush. But I had to share this because frickin' lol. If anybody is keeping score, I now believe in karma. And now in the comments, oof, that's karma alright. Out of curiosity, is your dad gonna cut your brother out now that he knows that he's not his? Also, is your brother having a meltdown at knowing the truth? And OP says, oh, I wish I knew. I moved away and I don't talk to them anymore. Just found out through Grandpa. I am, however, overcome with joy. Good for you, man. You don't need shitty people in your life regardless of your DNA status. I'm glad you got a settlement. Treating you like crap from 14 to 18 because he was told you were not biologically his son is a horrible thing to do to you. You were just a teen and you had no choice in the circumstances in which you were conceived. The 14 years leading up to that had to count for something in his heart, but he chose to ignore it. I don't think I could forgive him for that. My grandfather walked out on my father's family when my father was 13. My father never forgave him, although he eventually came to terms with it. They never attempted to talk to each other. It's weird. There was another relationship advice like this right before the holidays. Some dude found out that his 14-year-old daughter and 9-year-old son weren't his. The Reddit response wasn't just to peace out, but to burn the relationship with the wife and kids. And now I'm sitting here thinking how genuinely screwed up that is. I mean, yes, absolutely get a divorce, give up on his wife, but the dude has raised those kids for well over a decade. To them, that is their whole lives. He might not have been their father, but he certainly was their dad. The idea that he should drop those kids like a sack of bricks because their mother was a trash human being just didn't sit right with me. It's interesting now to be seeing someone sitting on the opposite side of that relationship dealing with that impact. That's gotta be a rough situation. Oh man, I would love to know the brothers and dad's reaction to this. Reasonable me wants them to learn their lesson. Petty me wants them miserable. Here I am, both. I want them to learn their lesson while being miserable. Our next post is titled, Oregon. I accidentally created an army of crow bodyguards. Am I liable if my murder attempts murder? To make a long story short, I'm a late 20-something living in Portland, Oregon. I had a pretty intense emo/goth phase as a tween that I thought I had grown out of. A couple of months ago, I was watching a nature program on our local station about crows. The program mentioned that if you feed and befriend them, crows will bring you small gifts. My emo phase came back full force, and I figured that I was furloughed and had lots of time, so why not make some crow friends? My plan worked a little too well, and the resident 5 crows in my neighborhood have turned into an army 15 strong. At first, my neighbors didn't mind and enjoyed it. They are mostly elderly, and most were in a birdwatching club anyway. They thought the fact that I had crows following me around whenever I go outside was funny. Lately, the crows have started defending me. My neighbor came over for a socially distanced chat, me on the porch, her in my yard, and the crows started dive-bombing her. They would not stop until she left my yard. They didn't make physical contact with her, but they got very close. Am I liable if these crows injure someone since I fed them? I obviously can't control the crows. I would rather them not attack my neighbors, but since I technically created this nuisance, could I be financially on the hook for any injuries? To be clear, they are not aggressive 100% of the time. If just the neighbors are out, they are friendly normal crows. They only get aggressive when someone gets close to me or my property. And now in the comments, they are resource guarding. To stop them from attacking people, ask guests to bring shiny objects or food scraps to the murder of crows as an offering. You could also supply your guests little baggies of treats for them to offer up. If they dive bomb someone, don't give them food for 24 hours. If they are nice to a guest, give them a high-value treat to reinforce positive behavior. That's advice from my partner. She was a field biologist that is published in biology and ornithology. It would take quite a stretch for someone to make a winning case that you were negligent by feeding the crows and that your feeding the crows was the cause of whatever injury occurred. A stretch doesn't mean impossible though. Make sure your homeowner's insurance is up to date. I'll go a little bit further. Someone would likely have to prove that OP encouraged, trained, or facilitated the behavior and actions by the birds. That is going to be nearly impossible to show or prove without witnesses observing OP doing some sort of training. But like any lawsuits, not out of the question for a litigant to attempt to prove. The two different scenarios are 1, OP feeds these birds and they're really aggressive to everyone else, neighbors witness OP walking outside, throwing out birdseed, and returning indoors. Assuming no additional facts, seems like happenstance and a very small likelihood of a plaintiff prevailing. 2, neighbor provides video of OP appearing to train the birds to dive bomb scarecrows that are dressed in old people sweaters and wide whale corduroys, giving them rewards and treats for successful impacts. This would likely be a problem for OP and would increase a plaintiff's chance of prevailing in a suit against OP for damages and injuries. And OP says, okay, that's good to hear. My thinking is, someone would be able to make the claim that I drew more crows to the neighborhood, taught them that my house has food, and that maybe they're attacking others thinking that I'm going to give the people food instead of the crows, meaning I would have created this problem. Of course, you can sue for anything, but do you think that argument could hold up in court? As I said above, it would be a stretch, but not impossible. And OP says, okay, thanks. I can't offer much legal advice, but I can offer crow insight one former emo crow enthusiast to another. As it gets colder, the crow's food source is getting more scarce. They're becoming more dependent on you, which is probably what is driving up their aggression. Crows are partial migratory. About 75% seek warmer climates, but some can and will stay resident through the winter if possible. You may have inadvertently increased the number of crows that stay put, stressing the food supply. This is not to guilt you. Many people do this when they leave bird feeders out past fall, which is not ideal. Just be cognizant. This puts you at a crossroads. Feed them more to subdue the aggression, or feed them less and let them disperse. However, the aggressive behavior may get worse first. Putting out a bird feeder would probably solve your problem. They should shift the aggressive protective behavior to the feeder and in the spring settle down. To extrapolate a little, in your shoes, I'd try to build a crow vending machine. You have their attention and can probably train them with ease. There are instructions around the internet for a variety of different builds. You can make a machine that, when they drop something that they find in it, it dispenses food. This path also starts with a standard feeder. On the legal side of things, some states do take issues with domesticated crows. I don't think the attack concern is worrisome as much as the Game Commission taking issue. I'm not sure where the line is between putting out a feeder and using a crow vending machine. Maybe someone else can provide more insight here. And now on to the update. So to make a long story short, I called our local Audubon Society. They didn't think that feeding the crows was bad and suggested the neighbors also start feeding them, so they essentially became better socialized. The plan worked, and the crows are now a beloved part of the community. There have been no recent dive bombings. Most amazingly, the crows have legitimately saved my neighbor. Our city had a pretty big ice and snow event recently. Like I said in my last post, most of my neighbors are older. One of my neighbors was walking down his steep driveway, slipped, and couldn't get back up. The crows were going ballistic, and they were making more noise than we had ever heard. A different neighbor went outside to see what was up and found the gentleman in his driveway. Neighbor is mostly okay, just some serious bruises. Needless to say, the crows have been getting some high-value food since then. Thanks for all the help on my original post. It blew up way more than I was expecting, and I thought you guys would enjoy an update. And now in the comments, crows are such intelligent animals. I have always wanted some corvid friends. OP is living the dream. Birds are super loyal. A friend saved a seagull chick that was abandoned on a shoreline and raised it to release. That was 20 years ago. It follows her around now and lives in a nest on her roof. If she moves, it moves houses with her. One time she was lurched at by a drunk or a druggie just after getting off a bus 15 miles from home. As it happened, she recoiled in fear and her seagull dived in right over her and pecked the guy in the face hard. It had followed the bus because she was in it. I can't even imagine a seagull attacking someone who wasn't eating at the beach. Dude probably thought he was being attacked by a vengeful sea god or some crap, attacked by a seagull 30 miles from shore. And that's where I'm going to end today's episode, guys. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know what you thought of it down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.